Thank you for joining us for 3Bs on the Law podcast, hosted by Trisha Barita, Camille Canali, and Susan Dawson. Disclaimer, this podcast is for entertainment and informational purposes only, not meant to provide legal advice, and does not create an attorney-client relationship. Also remember, laws change or they differ by jurisdiction, so this is not a substitute for seeking legal counsel in your jurisdiction on the current law applicable to you. Welcome to 3Bs on the Law again. We are so excited. We have a wonderful group of women attorneys from across the United States, good friends of both me, Susan, and Camille, and we're just so excited to have them on here. We're bringing you our top tips for in employment law and what you should be thinking about as we come to the end of the year. So with that, I will get us started with, I want to kind of talk about the issues about all the changes that have happened. So we're not, in a normal year, you might see changes every day or on a weekly basis or monthly basis in the workforce. But this year's been so different as far as the changes in the laws and the things in the implementation of different policies. With that, you may have a lot of confused employees. So how do we figure that out? One thing is to stop right now and say, okay, we've done a lot of changes. Where are we taking them all next year? And let's really get into training and make sure that everybody's trained on what the current policies are, no matter where you're going with your policies or where your state's taking their policies or the federal law. We'll see how that all turns out in 2021. I'll turn it over to Karina.
Hi, I'm Karina Lemons of the Lemons Law Firm. My top employment law tip is to implement policies, programs, and/or recognitions to make an employee feel valued. When employees feel valued at their jobs, they're more likely to view mistakes and oversights of the company as such and less likely to sue their employer. JK, you're next.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Komsky. I'm with Levinson, Urshansky, and Kurtz in Los Angeles, and my tip is to not ignore job descriptions. Job descriptions can be very important when you're dealing with wage and hour and classification issues, and also disability accommodations. So don't ignore them. They are very important. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Christina Rieger with the Law Offices of Christina Rieger in Philadelphia. My tip is to review your handbooks to encapsulate the new way of working. Add telecommuting policies and appropriate Zoom conduct policies, including dress, chat comments, and observing what is behind you that may make a statement that may be inappropriate to the people on the Zoom call with you. So look at those types of policies and address all of the new way of doing business. Jennifer Corso.
Thanks, Tina. I'm Jennifer Corso. I am a partner at the Tronzio Schneer in Cleveland, Ohio, and I have the easiest tip for 2021. Secure your personnel files. All employee documents. That means personnel files, medical files, non-disclosure agreements, non-compete agreements should be kept in a locked file cabinet, preferably also in a locked office. Keep backup copies of important documents like non-compete agreements off-site or keep an electronic copy. And if you do scan documents and keep them electronically, they must be password protected and accessible only to HR and top-level managers. Camille.
So, hi, I'm Camille. Everybody knows I'm the California Bee. And my tip is not going to come as a surprise to anyone who has listened to our podcast. It's communicate and document with those employees. Make sure you communicate your policies to the employees and make sure you document issues that arise with your employees. It's very important and can't be said enough. Carol, why don't you go next?
All right, I'm Carol Keogh with the Keogh Law Firm in Houston, Texas. And my employment tip is that every year you should be looking at the FLSA, the Fair Labor Standard Act, and review your employee classifications. Look at what the employee is actually performing and determine whether they're exempt or non-exempt, because if they're non-exempt, they need to be paid at least the minimum wage and overtime. Lisa, you're on.
All righty. So I'm Lisa Coppola, and I practice in New York State, where there's an awful lot of employment law. One of the newest is called paid sick leave, and employees in New York State are entitled to use their sick leave starting January 1st. That's about 2 weeks from now. With the pandemic, it's been incredibly difficult for employers to prioritize sick leave policies, but now is the time to do it, to make sure those policies are clear, that you know what you're required by law to provide to your employees, and so that they know the rules and policies around their taking sick leave. And that really segues into a broader issue. Make sure you're looking at your employment policies at least annually to make sure they're up to date with the changing state in some cases and certainly federal laws. And now I'll pass the baton over to the Chicago Bee, Susan Dawson.
Wow, Susan, wow, that was like an amazing group of and great advice, don't you think?
Yeah, that was, I mean, that's what this is all about. Employment laws are complex and they're all over and there's so much to think about. Lisa, you're right. I mean, states, you got to follow up on your states. Corinna, out there in North Carolina, you're talking to us about keep in mind your employee perspective and thinking from that perspective. Carol's, yep, federal law, don't forget about that, right? So much to think about. Don't forget, though, in 2021, we also are still in a pandemic. Vaccines are coming out. So that's my top tip that I'm talking to employers about. Don't lose sight of changing laws, changing CDC recommendations, and keep following all of that. But, well, on that note, I want to thank everyone for joining us today. As you know, the 3 Bs here, we rely so much on you ladies across the country to come together with your opinions and helping us as all businesses struggle with understanding employment laws. So thanks to everyone who joined us to be a guest today, and thanks to everyone who came to listen, and we'll see you next time on 3 Bs on the Law.
Thank you for joining us on today's podcast of 3 Bs on the Law. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our podcast. We also welcome any comments. If you'd like to get in touch with us or suggest a future topic, you can email us at 3THREEBsonthelaw@gmail.com. And because we're lawyers, we need to remind you that this podcast is not meant to provide you with legal advice and does not create an attorney-client relationship. Thank you again for joining us, and have a great day.